All right, so you're prepping for a water treatment systems operator interview, huh? Well, you've come to the right place. We're going deep into how to prepare for this interview using the RoleCatcher Career Guide, the interview guide, and some stuff about their platform, too. By the end of this deep dive, you'll be ready to absolutely crush that interview.
It's really pretty amazing how much we all rely on these skilled people. I mean, think about it. Every time you turn on your tap, you're depending on a water treatment systems operator to make sure that water is safe and clean.
Okay, so let's break down this job a little bit. The RoleCatcher Career Guide does a really good job of explaining it. It's not just about keeping the water flowing. It's about public health, environmental protection, and even supporting industries that need clean water.
Yeah, exactly. They run and maintain these really complex systems,
Mhm.
monitor water quality, like crazy conduct tests, troubleshoot any problems, and make sure that everything is meeting those regulatory standards.
So it's like this combination of technical skills and a really strong sense of responsibility.
You got
Let's jump right into the RoleCatcher interview guide. They have some really awesome questions that you're almost guaranteed to be asked.
And remember, knowing what the interviewers are really looking for behind each question is so important to coming up with answers that will make you stand out.
Right. Okay, so first question. Describe your experience operating water treatment systems. It seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really trying to figure out here?
They want more than just a list of tasks. They want to understand how much hands-on experience you have, your knowledge of different systems, and your ability to explain those technical processes.
So instead of just saying, I operated a filtration system, you should give them more details. Like what types of systems? What were you responsible for? What challenges did you run into?
Exactly. For example, let's say you worked with both conventional and membrane filtration systems. You could say something like, I've operated and maintained both conventional and membrane filtration systems and made sure they were working at their best by monitoring flow rates, backwashing filters, and adjusting the chemical dosages. In my last job, I even found and fixed a problem with the water being cloudy that kept happening, and that made the whole treatment process a lot better.
Now that's a really strong answer. It's detailed, shows your expertise, and it even shows how you solved a problem.
Exactly. And you see how it goes beyond just listing tasks. It shows you really get the process and that you're proactive about solving problems.
Okay, let's go to the next question. How do you ensure the safety and compliance of water treatment systems?
This one's all about showing that you understand the regulations and that you're serious about keeping the highest safety standards.
So it's not enough to just know the rules. It's about using them every day on the job.
Exactly. Start by talking about what you know about the important regulations, like the Safe Drinking Water Act and any local environmental rules. Then talk about the specific things you do to follow those rules, like keeping detailed logs, doing regular safety checks, and making sure all the equipment is calibrated and working right.
It's like you're showing them you're a protector of water safety.
Yeah, exactly. For example, you could say, safety and compliance are my top priorities. I stay updated on all the regulations and I follow strict procedures. I keep detailed logs, do frequent safety checks, and I make sure all the equipment is properly calibrated. I'm always looking for potential problems to make sure the work environment is safe.
That's a great example.
Yeah,
You're not just saying you follow the rules. You're actually showing them how you do it, and that builds trust.
exactly.
All right, so question 3. How do you troubleshoot issues with water treatment systems?
This is all about how you solve problems. The interviewers want to see that you can think analytically, stay calm when things get tough, and that you have a way to fix problems.
So it's not just about fixing the problem. It's about explaining your thought process and showing them you can think critically.
Right. Imagine a situation where the pressure in a filter suddenly drops. You wouldn't just start messing with valves. You'd need a strategy.
Right, you'd isolate the problem filter, look at the system logs, and then use tools to figure out what's going on.
Exactly. And then, based on what you find, you'd come up with a solution and document everything. It's kind of like being a detective. You need to find clues and analyze them and then make a smart decision.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about water quality.
Uh-huh.
Question 4 asks, how do you ensure the quality of treated water?
This is your time to shine as the quality control expert. Focus on the things you specifically monitor, like pH, turbidity, chlorine levels, and bacteria, and explain the testing procedures you use.
So you're showing them that you're not just messing around with knobs. You're like a scientist making sure every drop of water meets the standards.
Exactly. You could say, I carefully monitor all the important water quality parameters using calibrated equipment and the right procedures. I do frequent tests, analyze the results, and if something's off, I immediately figure out what's going on and fix it to make sure the water meets the standards.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You're showing that you really know about water quality and how to maintain it. Okay, question 5. How do you prioritize tasks when you're running multiple water treatment systems?
Water treatment plants are busy places, and interviewers want to know that you can handle a lot of things at once. This question is all about your organizational skills.
It sounds like a lot to juggle. How do you prove you can handle it all?
Think about the tools and methods you use to stay organized. Do you have checklists? Do you have a system for keeping track of maintenance? Do you use any real-time monitoring systems?
So without having a system and explaining it well.
Right. You could say, I prioritize tasks based on how urgent they are and how they affect water quality and system performance. I use a combination of daily checklists, scheduled maintenance plans, and real-time monitoring to make sure everything gets done efficiently and effectively.
You're basically saying you're organized, efficient, and in control.
Yep.
Okay, next one. Can you describe a time when you had to make a tough decision about a water treatment system?
The behavioral question. Remember the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result? Pick an example that shows your judgment, problem-solving skills, and how you handle pressure.
So a time when you had to think fast and make a tough call.
Exactly. Like, let's say a big storm dumped a bunch of sediment into the water supply and it messed up the treatment process.
Okay, that's the situation. What was the task?
The task was to quickly figure out what was happening, decide what to do to keep the water safe, and then do it.
What did you actually do?
I immediately started backwashing the filters, more often adjusted the chemicals to help with the coagulation and flocculation,
Right.
and watched the turbidity levels closely.
And what happened in the end?
By doing those things, I was able to keep the water quality at the right levels throughout the storm so we didn't have to interrupt the water supply.
That's a perfect example of the STAR method. You explained the situation, what your role was, what you did, and the good outcome. Okay, moving on. How do you ensure that water treatment systems operate efficiently and effectively?
This question is about more than just keeping the systems running. It's about how you try to make things better all the time.
So showing them you're always trying to do things better, smarter, and more sustainably.
Right. Talk about any preventive maintenance programs you've started, process improvements you've made, or ways you've saved energy.
For example, you could say, I'm all about making sure systems are working at their best. I look at operational data all the time, figure out what can be improved, and then I make it happen. For example, I recently changed the filtration cycle, which saved us 10% on energy, but the water quality stayed the same.
That's a really good example. You even put a number on how much you improved things, which makes it even better. Now, question 8. How do you stay up to date with changes in water treatment technology and regulations?
This is about showing that you love to learn and are passionate about your field.
This industry is always changing, and they want to know that you're keeping up. Talk about specific resources you use, like industry magazines, professional groups, online forums, or classes you've taken.
For example, you could say, I'm a member of the American Water Works Association, and I go to their conferences and webinars. I also read industry journals like Water and Waste Digest, and I'm part of online groups where people share tips and talk about new technology.
Perfect answer. It shows you're involved, informed, and always learning. All right, question 9. How do you ensure that water treatment systems are maintained properly?
This is about showing that you're careful about maintenance and that you can prevent problems before they happen.
It's all about being proactive and paying attention to details. Emphasize your preventative maintenance habits, your careful record keeping, and your ability to spot potential issues early.
So you're not just fixing things when they break, you're preventing them from breaking in the first place.
Exactly. You could say something like, I always follow the maintenance schedules and procedures, and I keep detailed records. I also listen for any weird sounds, vibrations, or readings that might mean there's a problem, and I take care of them before they become big issues.
You're coming across as reliable, responsible, and someone who takes pride in maintaining these important systems.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. How do you manage and motivate a team of water treatment systems operators?
This one's for those who want to be leaders. They want to know what kind of leader you are if you can build a good team and how you motivate people.
So it's not just about being good at your job, but about being able to lead and inspire others.
Exactly. Share examples of how you've motivated teams, encouraged collaboration, and created a good work environment.
Like you could say, I believe in clear communication, open conversations, and recognizing when people do good work. I have team meetings all the time to talk about goals, share updates, and figure out any problems. I also encourage people to learn new things and grow professionally.
Perfect. You're highlighting how you communicate well, create a team environment, and support your team members' growth.
Wow, we covered a lot. 10 tough interview questions, and we broke them all down, showing what the interviewers really want and giving you strategies for awesome answers. But that's not all.
There's more. In part two, we'll look at some real-life situations and talk about how to handle unexpected challenges on the job.
We'll also touch on moving up in your career certifications and those tricky behavioral questions that interviewers love to ask.
So stay tuned. We'll be back to give you even more knowledge and insights to help you nail that interview and have a successful career as a water treatment systems operator.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
Welcome back, ready to dive even deeper into the world of water treatment systems operators.
Absolutely. Last time we went through some typical interview questions, but now let's shift gears a little and talk about what it takes to be really great in this job day in and day out.
Yeah, acing the interview, that's just the first step. The real test is handling those unexpected situations that pop up at a water treatment plant. It's like a never-ending puzzle you're trying to solve.
Speaking of problem solving, the RoleCatcher Career Guide really emphasizes knowing not just how to run the systems, but how to fix them when things go wrong.
Exactly. Let's say you're monitoring everything and all of a sudden you see the turbidity levels shoot up. What would you do?
Okay, turbidity. That's about how clear the water is, right? So if turbidity spikes, that means the water's getting cloudier.
Exactly. And that's a bad sign. High turbidity could mean there's a problem with the filtration system or even that the source water is contaminated.
So what are the first things you would do?
Well, you wouldn't just start randomly changing things. You need a plan. First, you'd isolate the filter that's causing the problem so it doesn't contaminate anything else. Then you'd look at the system logs to see if there were any changes or anything weird that could explain the spike.
So you're like a detective looking for clues. What's next?
Then you'd use diagnostic tools to get more information. Like you might check the filter's pressure, the flow rate, the backwash cycles. You might even have to take some water samples for more testing.
Sounds like you need to know the whole treatment process inside and out to be able to troubleshoot problems effectively.
Absolutely. And don't forget about documentation. Every single step you take, every observation you make, you gotta write it all down. This helps you see patterns and prevent things from happening again. Plus, it shows that you're professional and pay attention to details.
Documentation is super important. Okay, let's say the power goes out at the treatment plant. What happens then?
That's a major situation. A power outage can shut down the whole treatment process, and that could put water safety at risk.
Talk about pressure. What's the top priority?
Safety always. Make sure everyone's safe and accounted for. Then you try to get the backup power systems running. If those aren't working, you need to focus on the most important processes to protect public health.
Like what kind of essential processes are we talking about?
Keeping the chlorine levels up in the distribution system is crucial. That stops bacteria from growing. You might also have to manually operate some systems to keep the treatment going at a basic level.
Sounds like you have to think fast and make tough decisions in an emergency.
Exactly. You have to stay calm, assess the situation, prioritize, and communicate clearly with management and maybe even with local authorities.
Communication is key. Speaking of communication, let's switch gears and talk about those tricky behavioral questions that interviewers love to ask. The RoleCatcher Interview Guide talks about these too.
Oh yeah, those behavioral questions. Remember the STAR method we talked about before? Situation, task, action, and result? That's your secret weapon for answering these questions well.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say the interviewer asks, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult coworker.
Okay, how would you answer that using the STAR method?
First, you describe the situation. You could say something like, in my last job, I had a coworker who was always late finishing their work, and it was slowing our whole team down, and people were getting frustrated.
That sets the scene. What's next?
Then you explain the task. You could say, as a senior operator, it was my job to deal with the situation and make sure our team could work smoothly.
Okay, so what action did you take?
I decided to talk to the coworker one-on-one. I told them what I was concerned about, but in a helpful and respectful way. I listened to their side of the story and offered to help them get better at managing their time. We came up with a plan together and set clear expectations.
And finally, what was the result?
After our talk and the changes we made, the coworkers started doing much better and the team worked together better. We were able to meet our deadlines and everyone felt better about working together.
That's a great example. You clearly explained the situation, what your role was, what you did, and the positive outcome.
Exactly. The STAR method helps you organize your answer and make it convincing. It shows that you can solve problems and handle difficult people well.
It's like a roadmap for answering those tough behavioral questions. Now, let's talk about something that can make you stand out certifications. The RoleCatcher Career Guide lists a few key certifications for water treatment systems operators.
Certifications are like a stamp of approval. They show that you're an expert and that you care about professional standards. They can really give you an edge when you're looking for a job.
Can you tell us more about some of these certifications?
Of course. The Certified Water Treatment Operator, or CWTO, is a really well-known certification. It covers a lot of knowledge and skills in water treatment processes, regulations, and safety practices. It's a good starting point for anyone new to this field.
So if you're just starting out, the CWTO is a good one to go for. What about people who have more experience?
For those folks, the Certified Environmental Operator, or CEO certification, is valuable. It's more about understanding environmental regulations and best practices in general, including water, wastewater, and solid waste management.
So the CEO certification is for people who want to move up into leadership roles.
Right. It shows you're committed to being an expert and that you understand environmental stewardship.
What about people who are really into the science behind water treatment?
For them, the Certified Water Technologist, or CWT certification, is a great choice. It goes deeper into the science of water treatment stuff like chemistry, microbiology, and advanced treatment technologies.
So the CWT is for the real water nerds.
Hmm.
It shows you really know your stuff when it comes to clean water science.
Exactly. And to get any of these certifications, you need work experience education, and you have to pass some tough exams. They show that you're always learning and growing professionally, and employers love that.
So no matter where you are in your career, going for certifications can really help you. It's a way to show employers that you take your work seriously and want to stay at the top of your game.
And don't forget, you can use a RoleCatcher's platform to help you get ready for your interview. Their AI tools can analyze job descriptions and suggest skills and keywords to use in your answers. That'll make you stand out even more.
It's like having your own personal interview coach.
Exactly. And their video practice feature with AI feedback can help you improve how you speak your body language and how you present yourself overall.
Wow, we've covered a lot in this part. We talked about real-life situations, the importance of certifications, and even went over the STAR method again for those tough behavioral questions.
But there's still more. In part 3, we're going to step back and look at the big picture. We'll explore the trends that are shaping the water treatment industry and what's next for this important field.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into what it takes to be a water treatment systems operator.
We've talked about a lot, from getting ready for the interview to dealing with real-world stuff and how to move up in your career.
Yeah, now it's time to zoom out and look at the big picture.
Exactly. Let's explore the trends that are shaping the water treatment industry and see what the future holds for this super important field.
The RoleCatcher platform overview gave us a really cool glimpse into how this profession is changing.
One of the biggest trends is the fact that the demand for clean water is going up all over the world.
Right.
Population growth and industries are using more water, and that's putting a lot of pressure on our water resources.
It's crazy to think about how many people and companies need clean water every single day.
Absolutely. And this growing demand means we need more skilled water treatment system operators to make sure we have enough safe water for everyone.
So it sounds like this is a pretty stable career choice.
Yeah, the job outlook is really good. But it's not just about how many jobs there are, it's also about how the work is changing. We're seeing tougher regulations and higher standards for water quality.
Right.
That's because people are worried about new contaminants, and we need to protect public health.
It's not just about getting rid of dirt anymore. We're talking about micropollutants medicines and even those tiny plastic pieces. It's a whole new level of filtration.
Exactly. Water treatment systems. Operators need to stay ahead of the game. They need to keep learning about new treatment technologies and adapt to all the new rules.
It's a field that's always changing, and you got to be ready to learn and adapt. Speaking of adapting, how important is sustainability in the water treatment industry these days?
Sustainability is huge. It takes a lot of energy to treat water, so people are trying hard to use less energy and reduce the impact on the environment.
So like energy-efficient pumps, better treatment processes, and maybe even renewable energy for treatment plants.
Exactly. Water treatment systems operators are leading the way in making the industry more sustainable, which is really cool.
It's amazing how this job is changing to meet all the challenges we face. And speaking of changes, let's not forget about technology.
Oh yeah, technology is changing everything about water treatment. Automation, remote monitoring, data analytics, even artificial intelligence, they're all revolutionizing how things work.
Instead of manually checking gauges and writing down numbers, operators can keep an eye on things from far away and use data to make things run better. That's pretty amazing.
These technologies are making water treatment more efficient, more reliable, and more sustainable. But they also mean that operators need to learn new skills.
So technology is making some things easier, but it's also creating new challenges and opportunities to learn and grow.
That's what makes this profession so great. It's always evolving. You have to be curious embrace new things, and always keep learning.
It's not just a job, it's a career where you can really grow and make a difference. And let's not forget the impact you have.
Right.
Water treatment systems. Operators are literally protecting public health and making sure we have a sustainable future.
Exactly. It's a job with a real purpose. A mission that goes way beyond just working at a treatment plant.
It's about protecting communities, taking care of the environment, and making the world a better place. What an awesome career path.
Definitely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage you to check out what RoleCatcher has to offer. Their platform isn't just for interview prep. It can help you explore and grow in your career.
Their AI-powered career compass can help you find potential jobs, discover different career paths, and connect with employers in the water industry. It's a great tool for anyone who wants to make a difference in this field.
So go for it. Be bold and follow your passion for clean water. The world needs skilled and dedicated people like you more than ever.
We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge, the insights, and the confidence to nail your interview and have an amazing career as a water treatment systems operator.
Remember, the future of water is in your hands.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.